What up, sports fans all over the world? It is your boy, MacDaGiantsFan. I'm here with my guys, the Horsemen. Got Zion Zenith, my guy, Adam Costas, and y'all know the wind beneath our wings. NYG Jeffy T always looking down upon us. This is the Premium Takes Podcast. Let's go. What is going on, everybody out there tonight? Welcome to another edition of the Premium Takes Podcast. How y'all fellas doing tonight, Zion, Adam, man?
Absolutely wonderful.
Tired.
Pleasure to be with you guys today. Absolutely. With some no Mets, no Jets. Let's get it.
Oh, we love you.
What's good, brother? How you feeling today, man? But yeah, fellas, it's been a rough week, man. Rough week. They say, the deaths they come in threes, man. And this week we got hit with three big ones, man. Three big ones, man. Got rest in peace to the great hardcore legend Terry Funk, the Eater of Worlds, Bray Wyatt, the legendary one and only super dope game show host Bob Barker. But fellas, man, let's take a moment and just share some words about these fine gentlemen that have impacted the lives of so many, man. Could take it away, Adam, if you like.
Well, first off, I'll start with Bob Barker because first off, he is an icon of all icons. If you're like me, and you grew up with as Bob Barker as your babysitter when you were sick because you were watching that. When you were home from school, it was after cartoons came on, the Price is Right came on. Everything happened, and it was great to see and. I just loved him. He was part of my life growing up. He's in Happy Gilmore. So Bob Barker, rest in peace. Terry Funk, not as familiar with him. No, he's a hardcore legend because he came in the late Attitude Era to help out with Mick Foley and a storyline. A couple of those storylines. He was big in ECW. Long before I was born, he was a good champion and a good jobber and a good villain to some of the best that we know in the business. Right. So. He made his legendary career long before he was the hardcore champion in WWE. And of course, I save the best for last, the Eater of Worlds, Bray Wyatt. One of my all-time favorite wrestlers of all time. I just said that. I know it sounds redundant, but, he had a great nickname, the Eater of Worlds. When I saw this guy, I thought he was the next Undertaker. That's what he reminded me of. That's what his gimmick was. The fireflies, everything like that. When he would come out with that lantern and blow it out, and how they built him up so well with the Wyatt family and his promos and like I said, follow the buzzards. I love that guy, and I was so when he came back, and his pop was through the roof, probably the loudest pop I've heard in the last 5 years for a wrestler. Blew the friggin' arena's roof off. I'm just waiting for him. The black match or whatever that was. I was like, okay, great, fine. You did that match. We were anticipating him coming back. We were anticipating another big Bray Wyatt moment. Unfortunately, it was a big Bray Wyatt moment, but for the unfortunate circumstance of him leaving this world. The Eater of Worlds, rest in peace. You will never be forgotten. You are a Hall of Famer right out the gate, with three different you carried three different gimmicks. You carried a Wyatt family, which you brought us Braun Strowman, Luke Harper, Rowan, right, and built up that faction. Then you also came back as the Fiend and made that character go through the roof. Not to mention the Firefly Funhouse, which not many people could pull off. This guy did, and then of course he comes back as Bray Wyatt and the Bray Six that we were eventually going to see. So the guy was a pioneer. He really took his character and lived his character. I loved it. Rest in peace, Bray Wyatt.
Absolutely. Zion, you can touch on, I'm pretty sure you probably don't know much about Terry Funk, but I know you know a little something
Yeah,
about Bray Wyatt. I hope you know something about Bob Barker, too. But
absolutely. Well said, Adam. Yeah, definitely. R.I.P. to Terry Funk. before my time, but may his rest in peace. You know what I'm saying? His forever memory live on to all the ones that loved him and loved watching him. Also, as far as Bray Wyatt, I was mostly familiar to him with that Wyatt faction, that Wyatt family faction that he was a part of. Later on, I know Adam just touched on it. He did, I believe it was him that did a few things with Alexa Bliss. But that being said, man, just watching the WWE growing up after that whole suit babyface phase with John Cena winning the championships over and over again. He definitely carried that side of the business where like kind of like the Undertaker retired, and that dark side of the business, but still being a fan favorite. You know what I'm saying? If you guys understand what I'm saying with that, you know what I'm saying? And then as far as Bob Parker, absolutely, I love The Price is Right. I remember ditching school and actually not to watch The Price is Right. I'll be lying to you, but I remember ditching school to go to the beach and just hang out.
We don't condone ditching school.
And then waiting. Yeah, we don't condone that, but just waiting for the homies to pick me up, just like getting high and watching. Don't condone that either.
And we don't do that either here.
Yeah, watching The Price is Right. You know what I'm saying, and to see a legendary host like that, go, it's hard, but at the end of the day, I'm happy for him and his family. You know what I'm saying? He lived a long life, a long, great life. He was in show business for twice my age, you know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of great memories to keep on. So I'm going to pass the mic to you, Mac, but absolutely, God bless all of these guys and Flying Angels, man. Let's get it.
Absolutely, man. And well, look, I'll take it from the top, man. Start with unfortunate news about Terry Funk Wednesday, man. On Wednesday, this past week, and you couldn't growing up as a kid in the '80s, being a wrestling fan, man. Terry Funk was an absolute legend, man. I wouldn't say he was underrated. I think he still got his just due, most definitely. But at the end of the day, when people talk about the all-time greats, his name doesn't come up nearly enough. Terry Funk, man, was more than just a hardcore legend. That was more something he took on at the tail end of his career, honestly, being the super hardcore guy. Honestly, early on in his career, he was really just a well-rounded wrestler, technical wrestler in the ring, man. And he was part of some of the greatest rivalries the industry has ever seen. I mean, people don't even discuss the rivalry he used to have with Ric Flair, the Nature Boy. I mean, they had some of the greatest matches you ever could see, man. Terry Funk was an absolute amazing superstar in the ring, man. Like I said, growing up back in the '80s, in the prime of his career, the prime of his career was during the '80s. And not by the time he got to the '90s, he was a little longer in the tooth, but he was still out there entertaining and putting on a show, doing all the crazy hardcore spots that he would do at the age he was then. I mean, that man was over 50 years old, still wrestling in hardcore matches, doing just crazy spots, man, as if he was still a kid. And so just Terry Funk, man, he'll be missed by the wrestling world big time, man. I mean, a lot of the guys that are right now the big superstars now, a lot of younger 20-something-year-olds, even they know of Terry Funk, because you just can't be in this industry and not know of Terry Funk, But at the end of the day, they never really got to share the ring with them or anything like that. I'm sure they probably met him crossing paths, one way or another here and there at events. But at the end of the day, Terry Funk was just a great person, a great humanitarian. You saw him in the ring. You saw the kind of matches he would put on, his act and everything, his gimmicks, his character. And the man couldn't be any more different outside the ring, man. This man outside the ring was a family man. He was just all around great person, man. It's a shame with a heavy heart that we had that the wrestling world lost a legend like him. I mean, he lived a long life, but it still feels like it came up a little bit short. I mean, he'd been suffering and dealing with a lot of things, a lot of illnesses and such over the last several years. But the things Terry Funk did to entertain us, the way he put his body on the line to entertain people like me and other wrestling fans back in the day, man, it just gotta take my hats off to that man, because he was a special one. And I don't think enough people talk about how great Terry Funk actually was. And I'm sure now it'll definitely be coming up unfortunately, due to his death, people will probably start talking about that a lot more. But the reality is they should have always been talking about it because Terry Funk was definitely that guy. I mean, he had wars with guys with some of the other all-time greats. Like I said, Ric Flair,
Is it
Dusty
gonna be that
Rhodes.
Tupac effect,
I
where like he
mean,
gets much bigger after he dies, Mac?
I wouldn't say that because he's big. I mean, he's big time. It's not like I'm
Gotcha,
saying
gotcha. No
people.
disrespect, of
He's
course.
already big time. It's not that.
Hmm.
It's just that I just feel like when people have those conversations, his name is not one of the names that really gets mentioned, and I feel like it should. It's just that some of what he did might not have been for everybody. It might not have appealed to everybody. But like I said, what that man did to entertain us as wrestling fans was something special, and it was something that I always I can be thankful for. He's part of the reason. He's a big part of the reason I was a wrestling fan. I mean, I like the things he used to do in the ring. He's entertaining also, and then also not even just wrestling. This man also was an actor. He's been in some movies, had some parts. He's done some things on the big screen. So he's like this overall talented guy. And I got to say, Terry Funk, man, a legend, and sad to see him go, man. So then Thursday rolls around, and this one is a gut punch right here, man. Bray Wyatt, man, the Eater of Worlds. Bray, man, another one. Just to me, he was already hit legendary status in my opinion, with just the way he, like Adam was saying, he pulled off gimmicks that I think a lot of other guys would have just failed at, would have fell flat on their face. That Firefly Funhouse, like you said, Adam, I can't think of anybody else that could have pulled that off the way Bray Wyatt pulled that off. And not only just pulled it off, but made it something people wanted to see, and made it something interesting to the fans out there, man. It's no secret about some of the personal issues Bray Wyatt's been dealing with and going through over the last couple of years. Obviously, hasn't been on wrestling on TV very much the last couple of years. He had his last match back at the Royal Rumble, man, and in that pitch black match against LA Knight, which was a match that if you saw SmackDown on Friday night, LA Knight really showed the love to Bray Wyatt, because LA Knight understands that will put LA Knight on the map in this company. That feud with Bray Wyatt is definitely what put LA Knight on the map with the WWE. And it put him over, took him to new heights. And he was really appreciative of that. The fact that he was able to go out there and talk about a WWE legend like Bray Wyatt, knowing that he was the final match. The last time Bray Wyatt was in the ring, it was with LA Knight. And we all know, I mean, if you've been looking at some of the articles, Bray Wyatt was set to be coming back soon and making a return back to WWE. Unfortunately, that's obviously is not going to happen now. But yeah, he was just another one of those guys, man. It was just something iconic about Bray Wyatt. That night at the pay-per-view, I can't remember which one it was now, but it was in Philly. No, it was in Philly. I can't remember what the pay-per-view. It was the hardcore one that they do with all the stipulations. All the matches have all those different random stipulations, but whatever it was called. But it was that night in Philly, man. Extreme Rules, yeah, thank you. Yeah, Extreme Rules pay-per-view in Philly that night. I had a buddy that was actually there live that night, and he texted me right after Bray Wyatt's entrance and was letting me know what was going. I was watching it anyway, but he was letting me know what was going down, man. And it was so dope, man, to see that, like you said, the way that crowd of Philly erupted for Bray Wyatt. Those fireflies, man, those lights, all those lighters and camera lights and everything. That's how dope Bray Wyatt was, man. And at that point, it had been a very long time since anybody had seen Bray Wyatt. So it was just like, and WWE did a great job of keeping that a secret and holding, that no one saw that coming, man. It was at the end of the show that night, and the crowd went absolutely nuts for Bray Wyatt.
Then Cody Rhodes, and Cody Rhodes showed up at WrestleMania. And Cody
Rhodes,
that
was a superstar, level of superstar that Bray Wyatt was, man. But he's 36 years old. It sucks to see somebody lose their life at that age, so young. I mean, 36 that's young, man.
I don't want to talk about it because that's around my age right now.
And it's a shame It's unfortunate because he had so much more life to live, and the things he would do just to put on the show once again, just to entertain us, and just with the respect that he had of his peers, man. Like I don't know if any of you guys, either one of you guys saw SmackDown Friday night,
Yeah,
but
great.
the show was beautifully done, and as you saw, I mean, Bray Wyatt was loved by everyone, man. He touched
I only go.
everyone in that locker room that he worked with, man, to the point where Eric Rowan, who's not even employed by WWE anymore, was even out there Friday on SmackDown on the stage with all the superstars in the beginning doing the tribute. I mean, doing the 10 bell salute.
You never
So
know. He
that
might be
lets you
something
know
down, man.
the impact of Bray Wyatt, man. That even brought him back to a company he doesn't even work with anymore, and to come and pay homage to a guy that he obviously spent a lot of time with and did a lot of work with. So Bray Wyatt is definitely going to be missed, and that's a gut shot to the wrestling world right now because Bray Wyatt was a superstar, and people know that he had so much more to give to this company. And then I'm gonna move on to
Let's not
Bob Barker, man. For me, let me talk some Bob Barker, man. I'm a
well,
game show junkie. If anybody doesn't know, that's one of my little hobbies. Is that I'm kind of have a little bit of a game show addiction. Price is Right, man, was one of my shows growing up, man. Like Adam said, man, sometimes I'm just sitting home as a kid getting babysat by my grandmother or something. And yes, watching The Price is Right, man, every single day on NBC. Price is Right, man, like 11 o'clock a.m. That's what time it
oh
came
my
on,
God.
you know? So come on down, baby, to The Price is Right, man.
Oh my
Like,
God.
this is Bob Barker, man, was just a super dope game show host, man. It's just his personality, the way it would just come out in the games on the show. He was just such a showman. The way he handled himself, man. And then,
Very
like you
good.
said, even just couple little side acting he would do here and there. The Happy Gilmore scene, iconic Happy Gilmore scene. The price is wrong, Bob. I mean, it's just more can you say, man? Bob Barker was a great guy, and that one also it hurts. I mean, even though he lived a very long and great life, man. Obviously, I believe you said it up here, no mess, no nest, no jets. Bob Barker saw 99 summers, man. A lot of people can't say that, man. So just Bob Barker, you will be missed, man. This is another one. It's just I don't understand how this can guy this 1 week and just lose three people of
Three
this
icons
status. Like you said, icons
in their
at
sport
this
or in
point.
their industry, right? I mean, I could say a lot of people know Bob Barker, right? A lot of people know. Bray Wyatt, if you're into wrestling, you know who he was and what he did. And Terry Funk, if you're a wrestling fan, you've heard the name Terry Funk, right? So we're talking about three big names and three guys who you said it were great. That Bray Wyatt piece, oh my God, man. I never knew he was that good of a guy. I heard, he had marital troubles, and that's none of my business or anything like that, but you never know who's going to be who backstage. Randy Orton was a giant douche walking around, right? This guy, everybody loved. So, and then Bob Barker. I mean, my God, Bob Barker. You can't say anything. I just smile when you say Bob Barker because I'm just listening to The Price is Right now. I even watched the reruns. Okay, I watched the reruns of when he was in the '80s and he actually had black hair. Oh my God.
Yep, Bob Barker, man. He was that dude, man. He really was, man. He was so cool, man.
Ladies loved
It was
him.
just something so cool about Bob Barker, and it was probably because he's up there with all these all the little Prices Right chicks was all bad as hell. He was up there with all these badass chicks like that, man. Bob Barker looked like the coolest dude in the world, bro.
Oh
Back in
man,
the
ran the
day.
show, got kissed on the cheek by all the women. You're like,
Oh man.
if you
I
go
mean,
watch,
Bob.
I'm telling you right now, go watch Bob Barker in the 1980s and early 90s. Every woman kisses him on the cheek every time. I mean, you can't do it now because COVID probably stopped that, but he would kiss everyone. And you're just like, dude, like this guy, you're living the life, bro, living the life.
Yes, indeedy. Yes, indeedy.
Yeah, he loved that show too. The funny thing, he was afraid when he first auditioned that he wasn't going to get it, and he loved it so much. He was like, I've got to be the host of this show. Like, I've got to get this. I got to now. Of course, he nails it, and the rest is history, as they say. So,
Absolutely, like you said, and it was a great game show, and he was a great host. Absolutely, man. Bob Barker was just he's like you said, he's iconic, man. You think of game shows, Bob Barker is one of the first people you're gonna think of, man. It's just what it is. The price is definitely not right in real life these days, Bob, but it's all right.
We need you.
But
Reincarnate as
yeah,
somebody else. Bring him back.
just condolences to all of those men's family, friends, fans, supporters, everybody, man. Anybody that just loved Terry Funk, Bray Wyatt, Bob Barker, hearts go out to y'all, man. Anybody that had the pleasure of knowing those gentlemen personally, just hearts go out to y'all because you guys lost great ones. But now we're gonna get a floor to Zion here, everybody, man. And you want to talk a little bit of USC Trojans who kicked their season off last night.
Absolutely,
Take the
absolutely.
floor, Zion.
Well said, you guys, on those three souls. May them rest in peace. May they rest in peace, man. Beautifully said, Mac, on your takes. I love that. As we transition into college football, just want to cover a few teams, and then I'll probably get into my USC Trojans. Timmy Chang and Hawaii almost actually tied the game up and almost won against Vanderbilt, but they just couldn't affect in their red zone D. Not red zone D. I'm sorry, the red zone offense. They just couldn't score in the red zone, and to be on the SEC network, you know what I'm saying? Like they should have capitalized more. All I'm gonna say is when you have the opportunity to score on an SEC team, you're not even supposed to be in this game, Hawaii, and you guys need to capitalize on that. So too bad on that, but Hawaii did lose their game 28-35 to Vanderbilt. We all seen that coming. Another game that I wanted to highlight too is shout out to the Jacksonville State Gamecocks, man. The first appearance in the FBS and winning their game against UTEP 17-14. I know it's UTEP. They're not really anything big in college football, but at the end of the day, to come in and make your first appearance in the FBS from coming to FCS, you know what I'm saying? Absolutely wonderful job on Jacksonville State. Notre Dame handled Navy in Ireland 42-3. Absolutely beautiful job by the quarterback Sam Hartman. He's looking damn near like a top tier quarterback in college football. I can't wait to see more of him this upcoming season. He did throw for 251 passing yards, read 4 touchdowns on the day. I get it; it's against Navy, but Notre Dame showed why they're the 13th ranked team. And to cap it off, week 0, my USC Trojans went against the San Jose State Spartans, and I was absolutely disgusted on what I seen. Yeah, I get it. We won the game 56-28, but our offensive line was absolutely terrible. Our defense looked like shit. Like we can't be doing this going forward, SE. We can't be having. I just wanted to take this time to rant real fast. Thank you, Mac, and thank you, Adam, for letting me do this because in the first half, we looked like shit. We couldn't block to save our lives. Caleb Williams was just getting rushed by every single angle. And, last time we seen Caleb Williams on the field was hurt against the Utah game. And I get it. We have other quarterbacks worthy of throwing the football on this team, but let's not put the Heisman Trophy winner on the line. You know what I'm saying? Like he was out here scrambling for his life when he didn't have to be. Obviously, we cleaned it up in the second half. We did walk out with the win, 56-28. But then again, we have a lot of stuff to clean up. So that being said, absolutely wonderful that we did get the win, but we have a tough schedule, man. There's a lot of Pac-12 teams that is going to be hunting for us, like Washington, like Oregon, like Notre Dame. And to come out there and our defense needs to perform better. I do want to give special shout-outs to our rookies, man. Coming in, Eric Zentry, Zach coming in, man, looking absolutely fire. You know what I'm saying? Zachariah Branch looking absolutely fire. Did return a kickoff to the house, beautifully done. And even Deuce Robertson getting in some work. The other receiver that we brought up. We got a lot of transfers on defense, and testing a few things out. Caleb did end up finishing with like great great stats. You know what I'm saying? I believe he had 4 touchdowns, 278 yards. So I know I was just complaining about the offensive line in the first half, and we did end up, getting Miller Moss some play time. So Miller Moss did come in and throw the football around at the end of the game. So that's good on him, getting in some play time. Absolutely beautifully done in the second half, but a lot to clean up in the first half and going forward, going against these Pac-12 teams. And if we're ever going to have a shot against the Georgias, the Alabamas of the world, I mean, like, we're going to have to play better football, Ohio State's wise, you know what I'm saying? But that being said, I'm going to pass the mic back to Mac, and that's it. That's the highlights for College Football Week. So,
Whoa. First off, we're coming for you. Notre Dame is coming for you. They are the Fighting Irish is my team. They smacked up on Army last night, or Navy, one of those two crappy teams.
the Navy, yes.
I like the quarterback transferred from Purdue.
Sammy boy.
He really is going to change it. This is probably the best quarterback prospect they've had in a long time. Play probably since Brady Quinn, but Brady Quinn wasn't. I think he's better than Brady Quinn, to be honest with you. But he's one of the guys I'll keep my eye on come NFL draft time, see how his career develops. But don't sleep on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I know USC had a big win, but hey, listen, we still got to play in South Bend, baby.
No, what I'll say real quick just about that the USC thing, which real quick what you was talking about, man. It's hard to get hype for a game that you just know you're going to go out there and win, even if you make a bazillion mistakes and don't play. They knew they were winning that football game, no matter what. It would be a monumental, humongous upset if they would have lost that football game last night. It's hard to get fired up for games like that. You kind of tend to go out there and play sloppy against teams like that because you take them for granted because you know you're going to win. It is what it is. So I wouldn't really let that worry me yet until you start playing that bigger competition. You start seeing some of those same things, then that's when it's a problem. More so a problem. I think in games like this, that's just kind of the natural thing. You know you're going to go out there and bust that team's ass. So you're not giving it your. You're not giving it your all. Baby. But for now, I guess you guys, the preseason has wrapped itself up. Except for the game that's going down right now. The one last game that's playing right now, the New Orleans Saints and the Houston Texans. Not even watching it because I just don't give a damn. But preseason is finally coming to an end. Some of the cut downs have already begun. Some teams have been releasing some players. I mean, New York Giants got rid of James Robinson today, man. And I've seen a couple other names, interesting names. It's been released. Kenyon Drake's been released by the Indianapolis Colts today. I mean, a couple other good guys, decent dudes out there. How y'all feeling about the preseason coming to an end?
Thank God. I mean, I am waiting for football. I'm geared up. We have too many. We're going to learn a lot of stuff this season. There's no more talking. There's no more, this, that, and the other thing. Everyone's 0-0. Guess what? It starts in 2 weeks. You can be happy and ride your high, but some people's seasons will be over before they start. Some teams will ride a meteoric high and crash and burn, and then there are some teams that are going to march to the Lombardi. We have no idea. We think we know. But we don't. Many teams, as of last year, the New York Giants are one of them, made the playoffs last year. Nobody expected them, and they did it. Who's going to be that team this year? Who's going to fall out of the playoffs? Who's going to get a humble surprise? We get to answer all those questions. All the questions you need to know. Will Aaron Rodgers survive the season? Will Joe Burrow come back and lead the Cincinnati Bengals to the Super Bowl? Okay? How will Deshaun Watson fare in the AFC North? Will the Ravens be the dark horse of Super Bowl? There are so many storylines. It finally gets going. I'm excited. I don't even care about the preseason games anymore because it's a joke, a complete and utter waste of time. I don't even know why the Giants didn't even play their guys. I guess with all the injuries that happened, maybe they saved themselves. But geez, man, sometimes I think a little ramp up is good. We saw one drive, and now everyone's like, yeah, woo. I'm like, all right, man. All right. If you guys, that's how you want to play it. We'll see, because I think a lot of guys needed reps. But there are a few guys in the preseason who stepped up across the league. It's been fun to watch. But thank God it's over. And yes, Mets, no Jets. I do remember there were 4 preseason games, and there was actually a game. The 4th preseason game will be taking place actually this Thursday, the day like after cut down or whatever the hell it would have, and then then you kick off the season. So a lot of guys are going to be cut. They're all do. Remember, people, they're doing the big cut down to 53, and it's an initial 53. What that means is, yes, next Tuesday they have to be down to 53. They have up until I think the next Tuesday to have a final roster. So you're going to see guys move up and down the pup list, come off the things. Trades are going to happen. For example, a guy may be on the roster now holding a spot for somebody that might be coming in from another team. So just know that if a guy gets cut or he makes the team, it's not until they kick off in week 1 that you'll have your final round.
Absolutely, well said, Adam. I mean, like, beautifully done. I'm absolutely excited that it's coming to the end. Absolutely do agree with Adam on the fact of I wish we kind of could have seen Daniel Jones in the offense out against the New York Jets defense. I think we needed more snaps, but who cares? The season's coming up, and I'm excited for it. Adam made a good point on the roster. This is the first time where it's actually just going to be one cut. There's not going to be multitude of cuts. There's just going to be one cut. There might be a teammate of ours that we might like that might not even make the roster, or might make the roster and just might hold a spot for another guy that we're going to bring in. I do want to point out a few things that I did love seeing in the preseason. I'll probably get to that a bit, so probably hold off on that. But I'm just excited that the preseason is coming to the end, and yeah, absolutely wonderful. Go ahead, Matt.
Well, I mean, preseason it's just kind of handled differently now. I mean, these last couple of years, especially now they're down to 3 preseason games. It just seems like I don't even now. It's just like almost like a total waste anymore at this point in time. I mean, hardly you go around the league. I mean, that was the first time Jets played their starters all preseason. Actually, was last night against the Giants. The Giants only played their starters one damn drive the entire preseason. You got teams like Dallas and the Eagles that didn't play their starters at all in preseason. I mean, it's once back in the day when you had the 4 preseason game format, at least you could guarantee yourself one damn thing that you looked forward for week 3 of the preseason because you was going to get something that was some semblance of a real football game. Because that used to be the dress rehearsal. That used to be you get the starters out there for at least a half into going into the third quarter a little bit. Used to be at least give you somewhat little bit of an excitement about the preseason. You don't get that at all anymore. Now, what you get, you just get it's a crapshoot. You just never know what you're going to get. I mean, Washington felt like they saw enough, and Sam Howell through the first 2 preseason games that they gave the kid a night off last night. I mean, it's just the philosophy now is much different, and I think people are like, I guess they are scared to take a risk on those injuries, and I get it. I mean, Giants, we did have some injuries last night. Unfortunately, none of them were to anybody we were doing any major depending upon, but at the end of the day, injuries are injuries, and it's a tough break. I mean, so maybe we did catch a break not having our starters out there because who knows, could have been one of them. But at the end of the day, man, I'm glad it's over as well too because it's been very hard to watch. It's damn sure hard to talk about, and I'm glad we're getting much closer to some real football, some real competitive football. We're going to see the guys that we actually love to watch play, get on the field again, and see what happens, man. I mean, right now, New York Giants haven't made too much noise. Like I said, only cut of any somewhat significance is they let James Robinson go, but I feel like they only brought James Robinson in the first place because they weren't sure about the future of Saquon Barkley. So kind of saw the writing on the wall anyway with that, considering they drafted Eric Gray and already had Matt Breida on the roster as well. Couple of guys I want to talk about, random offensive linemen, names that I noticed today on the guys that got cut today. First in Chicago Bears released former first-round draft pick Alex Leatherwood. This man was a first-round draft pick, I believe, in 2020 or 2021 maybe. And he's been released by the Chicago Bears. It didn't work out with the Raiders, the team that did spent the first round pick on him, and now he's been released by the Chicago Bears. And former New York Giant offensive lineman Bobby Hart released by the Detroit Lions. Man, think about those names, fellas.
First off, I don't want Bobby Hart anywhere near this organization anymore. I mean, what's done is done. I know a lot of Giant fans like to bring old Giant players back, but he can let the door hit him on the way out. As for Leatherwood, Joe Shane is one of those guys who takes chances on players like this. He did it with Wyatt Davis. He did it with another guy. I forgot what other big name, the dude from Georgia. He played with Andrew Thomas, but he never played in the roster, but he was constantly on the back end of the practice squad. That guy didn't pan out, obviously. I forget what his name is. I really wish I had it in front of me. But then like Alex Leatherwood, like I could see him bringing that guy in because he is better than Matt Pert. And no. Why do you want to bring Pugh back?
He's a guard now. Anyway. He doesn't even play tackle. He hasn't played tackle pretty much since he left the Giants.
You know what? Let's bring back Kevin Booth. How about that? My God, just bringing all these ex-Giant players back. Look, there's going to be a ton of other guys. I don't know if Leatherwood's a guy. If you know that Leatherwood had a first round, Leatherwood had a first round grade. He went to the Raiders. Obviously didn't pan out well. He's in with the Bears. Obviously didn't pan out there. He's one of those guys where maybe you bring him on the practice squad. And you say, hey, you know what? We don't know you. It's no risk to us. We'll put you on the practice squad. And who knows? Maybe Neil goes down and Pert comes up and you need to bring somebody else up to sub up, right? And he's there and he comes and he performs. Remember, Bobby Johnson has made linemen look good. Okay, his blocking schemes aren't that hard to master, and it really favors the lineman the way he teaches. So maybe you bring in a guy like Alex Leatherwood, and who knows? Maybe you plug him in at guard, or you move Neil to guard, and he becomes your tackle. Who knows? It never hurts to sniff around, and if he gets on a practice squad, like that's what I'm saying. Alex Leatherwood is the prime candidate for somebody's practice squad. Especially the Giants. You bring him in, no risk, no reward. He's on your practice squad. You get to develop him. You get to see him. You get to poke and prod at him as he's at your facility. And if someone goes down to the back end of your roster, or you decide, you know what, hey, whatever lineman, let's hypothetically speaking, Corey Cunningham still on the roster. I don't know if he is or not, but if he's there, you're like, you know what?
Technically, he is right now still.
Right. There's 26 more guys to go to cut down. But the point is, let's say Cunningham's on the roster, right? Somebody goes down, you're like, screw this. I'll bring up Alex Leatherwood and I'll cut Corey Cunningham. Maybe something like that happens. Who knows? Alex Leatherwood, good name to follow. I'm going to follow that name for the Giants.
You're muted.
I heard you say practice squad, and I absolutely love that because number one thing I looked at, because I was looking into this earlier and it damn near confirmed it. Share my screen, Mac. Please, if you don't mind. I have a problem with this. The problem is he was drafted by the Raiders. Just look back since 2013, the Raiders absolutely suck at drafting. If you really look at it, like half these guys are free agents and half these guys play on the other team. Who's the only player on this list still on the Raiders? This guy right here. Guess what? They didn't even pay him. I don't want to get into that. That's the whole running back situation. But there is a reason why this guy was probably drafted at 17 by the Raiders, and probably why he was let go, and why he's probably going to end up on someone's practice squad. Because obviously, God rest the lady's soul, with Henry Ruggs. But it didn't. Look at their draft history. It's not working out, Raiders. It's just not working out for you guys. I just wanted to take this time to roast the Raiders. But Jesus, man.
Real quick while you're on the radio, I wanted to real quick while you talk, because you just brought up something and I didn't even think about it. I wouldn't mind having a little discussion about this. Josh Jacobs yesterday, as you always know, signed a 1-year deal up to $12 million, something similar to what Saquon Barkley did. It's a 1-year deal, and they'll be back in the same situation next offseason potentially. You think this is going to be the new look for running backs going forward? Do you see these guys pretty much almost getting, after their first rookie contract, now they're just going to start getting rented year to year? Do you see a trend like that potentially forming around the league?
I think they're being hired. I think they're being hired guns.
Adam. Go fast, Adam. I'm sorry. Yeah, hired guns. I want you to elaborate on that. But I heard a TV host say this perfectly, and I do agree with him. He said, yes, until there's enough running backs. The fact that the Lions went up and they took Jamar Gibbs just shows them that they believe in this guy. They want a cheap running back for the next 5 years. Atlanta took Bijan. We're not going to talk on Bijan. Bijan is going to be probably offensive rookie of the year. Let's just say that. Okay. That being said, I do believe until there's enough, if you really look about why the franchise tag is so high for cornerbacks and for wide receivers is because there's so much good wide receivers. You can pretty count 15 good cornerbacks in the league, but you can only really count 5 or 6 really elite running backs. Until there's about 15 to 20 elite running backs, then I believe then all of this will be solved. And that's a good point that I want to get at you guys as well, but I love to hear Adam's point on the question as well.
Well, the thought process behind it is hired guns. If you look at what happened to Christian McCaffrey, he was traded, and he got traded to make that team a Super Bowl team from a team that was having a fire sale, right? Now, the problem that you're going to have and you run into is like you said, there are going to be a plethora of running backs. However, the problem with the running back has nothing to do with the value of the running back. It's how the NFL and the media portray the running back. What needs to happen is a guy like Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley ball out on those contracts, right? So then you're forced to pay them big time money because that's what's going to have to happen. They're going to have to change the narrative here. The narrative of a running back is, oh, he breaks down. Oh, you get a cheaper one. Oh, Dominic Pacheco, he's run with the freaking Kansas City Chiefs. What you need to see right now, and I think the Lions proved it to you, you draft your guy, you get rid. I mean, the Eagles gave a 4th-round pick for DeAndre Swift, right? He's going to be a good running back. Now he's cheap and he's under their thing, but guess what? If that guy goes and has a great year, and the Eagles are like, you know what, we don't want to pay you. He's going to be a hired gun for some team that needs a running back that needs an extra weapon. They're going to become hired guns. And look, Josh Jacobs already got $12 million. Next year when the franchise tag goes up, right, that'll be like $14 million. And you're going to constantly do it. But the problem you're going to run into is how much money you're going to allot to these guys, right? They're hired guns right now for their team. Who's going to pay them the same amount on another team? So we'll see what happens, man. I think the running backs got to dictate this market. They've got to play well. They've all got to come together at the end of the year and figure out what they're going to do. Don't say you need a new pot, but what's the difference? Zion, you brought up a good point about the receivers. I'll tell you something else. Receivers should be the one that are devalued. Why? Because I can get a guy in the second. Look at Jalen Hyatt. People are loving that guy. He's a 3rd-round pick. He is cheap. He is absolutely cheap. You know what they do with receivers? They just recycle them. The running back position has become worse because the high priced guys usually get injured. So now you're stuck with a guy who's injured, who's who's getting 400 carries a year and really breaking down. Meanwhile, these receivers who they're finding in every round are getting paid because quarterback to receiver, it's a sexier position. The running back is the focal point position. You want to win a Super Bowl? Get a good running back. Name me a duo that didn't have a capable back on their team when they won a Super Bowl. Not really any team.
That's a good point. That's valid. That is valid. But last night also in the Giants game in particular, we Giants traded for Isaiah Simmons. Pretty much just was given to us for a 7th-round draft pick. Another former first round pick from a couple of years ago. Came out the same year as we Giants drafted Andrew Thomas. Guess we made the right move there, honestly. I was kind of a big Isaiah Simmons guy that year myself, but I think we got the better end of the deal there, at least from the draft standpoint. But now we got both. We have them both here. 2 guys that I did like coming out of that draft. They're both New York Giants now. Isaiah Simmons just came here earlier this week, and he did he got a little burn last night. Came out there. I mean, obviously, he didn't really do much, didn't play a whole lot, but he got a little burn. How do you guys feel about the acquisition of Isaiah Simmons?
This acquisition is exactly what Wink Martindale's looking for. We all sat here and watched Micah Parsons go to the Cowboys. Well, this guy has similar skill set to what Parsons can do. And he'll be utilized in a linebacker role, which is what the Giants need. They need a blitzing linebacker. They need a guy that's going to disrupt. Well, if you've watched their team, they've blitzed a lot of DBs, safeties, corners. This guy does it all. He can blitz from the outside. If you saw what he did against the Jets last night, which I thought was pretty fun, was they lined him up on the farther side of the end and basically brought like 9 guys. The Jets blocked it up pretty nicely, but he had enough athleticism to get his hand on Aaron Rodgers. Now you're going to see more of that. Does this mean he's going to blow up and be a 12-sack guy or anything like that? No, we got him for a 7th-round pick, a guy that was underachieving apparently in the Cardinals. Maybe a change of scenery will help him out. I know Wink Martindale loves to attack downhill. This guy can do that. He can also drop back into coverage, which is not the forte of many of our linebackers. It also allows a guy like Okereke to focus on the ball carrier. Say, listen, man, I'll do all the dirty work, getting blitzes, getting home. You make sure everything's lined up on the back end. To have weapons on defense for the first time in a long time makes it explosive. Guess what, Cowboys? You can't run Tony Pollard out against Micah McFadden because you're going to have Isaiah Simmons out there running stride for stride with him. So I think it's a versatile weapon. I think it's a low-risk, high-reward kind of move that Joe Shane loves to do. And if it pays off, we'll be singing his praises. Now, the question becomes, will they sign him next year to a bigger term deal? If he balls out the way we think, maybe he'll get a bump in pay and you can utilize him, but he's an absolute weapon from Wink Martindale.
Very well said, Adam.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. I mean, like I was laughing because we gave up a 7th-round pick for him. That's absolutely still. If you talk about this guy ceiling, I mean, like I'm a big Simmons fan coming out of the draft. Arizona, I believe, didn't know how to use him. I believe Wink Martindale's system is right fit for him, or actually learn how to use him. And you know what? The best thing about it is he doesn't need to be on the field every snap, and that just adds rotation. That adds it's a positionless defense. So like I'm truly excited about this pick, and yeah, he's probably not going to have 12 sacks, but I could easily see disruption. I could easily see them not running on the edges, like Adam said. I could easily see him getting, if any, at least 6 to 8. But screw the sacks. It's not even about the sacks. Isaiah Simmons on this defense at his best, what I'm thinking, it will literally get us 2 to 3 wins this year alone. And you got to understand when you get someone in the 7th round, you got to develop them. Obviously, they're meant to be picked in the 7th. Guess what, guys? This guy doesn't need to learn how to develop. He needs to learn the playbook. And for him to even be in the game after just being traded and getting a sack, or almost getting a sack, obviously he looked kind of bad. But then again, he's just trying to learn the playbook at the same time, learn a different language. To learn a new offense is like it's not an offense, learn a new system, a little bit easier on defense. And I know he's not a quarterback, but at the end of the day, it's a different language. But I think it's a lot more easier for him to learn because of the fact that he just has less responsibilities in this defense, but his opportunities, once he learns this defense, is going to be much more easier to play, where he doesn't have to think, and the reward, what he's going to get, is going to be much more higher, because now we have a veteran to line up right next to Bobby, and not even next to Bobby, to move him to safety if he needs to be out there. But most likely he'll be playing linebacker. I'm super excited about this move, and I had to slow it down. And the reason why at his ceiling and at the best gives us 2 to 3 extra wins is because in the 4th quarter and when they're trying to move the ball on us, guess what? Like this defense with another veteran linebacker on it, not alone Bobby, but with another veteran, we got Tibbs and we got Aziz at the edges. Oh man, I'm excited. I'm excited, man.
Well, look, we got him for a 7th-round draft pick. So at the end of the day, like you said, low risk, whatever, how expression goes.
Low risk, high reward.
What I'm trying to say. Thank you. Yeah, low risk, high reward.
You can't do less than Kenny Dolladay. We paid that guy $19 million.
But at the end of the day, man,
that was great.
There's no pressure on him here in New York. The pressure is off. Now he can just come play football. Come do what he knows how to do. What we all saw him do that last year in Clemson. He's not the number 8 overall pick for us, and he's a guy we got for a 7th-round pick. That's all it is. That's all the value he was to us. That's all we had to give up to get this man, a seventh round pick. So he can just come in, play loose, do the things they're asking of him. And I think Wink is a smart guy. He knows how to use a guy like this. He knows how to utilize his talents. Like I said, we saw this man at Clemson. He was all over the damn field. He was an absolute game wrecker. I'm not saying he's going to come in necessarily be that completely, but definitely because even out in Arizona, he was making plays. He's made some plays. He's never strung them together consistently, but he was making plays, game changing plays,
Yeah,
even out
that's
there.
the only
So,
knock.
what'd you say?
The only knock on him is his consistency. Because when he went to Arizona, if you watch his highlights, you see a lot of like he'll make a play and then he'll get blocked. He'll make a play and then he'll get blocked. He needs to play with that energy. If he plays, if let's say this, right, he comes in here and doesn't have to start, right? He comes in on third down, whatever the case may be. He's probably going to start, but let's just say he's baby fed the defense. This guy can come in and do things that he hasn't done in Arizona because he doesn't have to be the man. You know, he doesn't have to worry about
And I think that's exactly it. He is gonna get baby fed. He's not gonna be like Max said it perfectly. I don't mean to interrupt you, Adam, but that's why I'm so excited for this, is because he's not an 8th overall selection for us. He's a 7th round pick. So at the end of the day, we all know what he can be, but we all know he's inconsistent. So at the end of the day, there's people on this team that deserves to line up next to Bobby and deserves to make a roster spot, right? So they're probably going to line up next to Bobby. And guess what? We're going to have sub packages where we're going to march Simmons on the field. And maybe later on in the season, maybe in week 10 or week 11, 12, 13, later on in that push, then he can acclaim his starting position. But then again, we're gonna start him off slow. We no need to rush. I mean, like there's the reason why Arizona got rid of him too. As much as we're excited, why did they settle on the 7th round? I mean, like there's 30 other teams out there. They could easily call for a 5th. So they have to see something as well. You know what I'm saying? But I'll let you finish.
Yeah, like I mean, he had. I'm going to say on that point, they don't have to worry about anything because they gave up a 7th round pick. If he fails, okay, cut him, no skin off your back, right? If he does something great, you're like, oh my God, look at what we got in house. We can sign him to a longer term deal. He's just a guy that infinitely makes your defense better all around if he plays up to his level. We'll see. I mean, to me, I was a little worried about the defense. If he comes in, I think the Giants have a better chance of beating the Cowboys with Simmons on the field than anybody else. Only because Simmons, while he is not Micah Parsons, and that's not what I was alluding to, what I'm saying is his skill set is similar. And what people need to understand is when someone says someone is similar, it doesn't mean that they're same, right? Similar means you have certain traits and certain attributes that may mesh well. Well, this guy ran a 4.39 at the combine. He has speed. He's played safety. He's played dime backer. And the Giants run a 3.35. And so he's going to be one of the 3 linebackers that's on the field. Now he also can play DB. You can have 2 linebackers on the field because guess what? Okereke and him can cover. It allows you to have a bigger body on the field and make that run game that we so covet, right? We still don't know if the run defense is going to be any good. He helps that out. See ball, get ball. That's what I tell Isaiah Simmons. See ball, get ball.
Water boy. I mean, he's not going to be getting 20 sacks a game, but but still, I mean, I think he just can play all over the field, and that to me, that's invaluable, man. This dude can he can line up on the line, rush the passer. He can play off the ball. I mean, he can do what you need, man. He can do a lot of different things. He has an interesting skill set. And I think Wink is just the perfect coach for him to get the best out of Isaiah Simmons. And I think we just got this kid for an absolute steal, 7th round pick, man. And we've seen the potential. Like I said, he's made plays even out in Arizona. It's just that people forget and don't think about him because they haven't seen nearly enough of him in this Arizona. He hadn't had a weight of the world on his shoulders here in New York. He's not coming here to be the guy. He's not coming here to be the savior. He's just here to be another guy on the field playing some ball, and I think Isaiah Simmons is going to be a great addition to this defense. Good pickup, Joe Shane. Keep doing this thing, man. He's looking like just an evil genius out there, man. And I think he's putting together something really, really special here in New York, and they still not talking about it. They're talking about the other team, so let them keep talking about that other team. while we just keep winning football games, hopefully. But you guys, anything else on the preseason? Just good highs, lows.
It was
I mean, Bijan Robinson, real quick. Bijan Robinson is going to be a problem, by the way. If anybody doesn't know, that man's going to be a problem. I would not be stunned if Bijan Robinson led the league in rushing as a rookie this year. That man is serious business right there. Serious business.
I just
But
think it's interesting to showcase some of the rookies and see how everybody across the league is optimistic. Right? I feel like every preseason game I watch, the broadcasters are just optimistic about every team. Like, oh, we're going to do this, and oh, we're going to do that, and da, da, da. And no one, I wouldn't say negative is the right word, but it feels like everybody feels like they can win. And it's fun to watch some of these teams and watch like a team like Pittsburgh, who everyone's counting out in that division. All of a sudden, Kenny Pickett lights it up, to George Pickens. George Pickens, I don't know if you guys know, but I kind of said I wanted that guy, and that guy's going to be a freaking beast. Good to see him out there. It was just fun to watch the preseason. I'm glad, like I said, I'm glad it's over. I really am. It seemed like it took forever this year to get done with. And now that we're done, watch the season fly by like it always does. We're going to be at game one next thing you know. Next thing you know, we're at Thanksgiving. We're eating turkey, and then next thing you know, we're fighting for a playoff spot. And this year should be an interesting one. It really should be. So,
Yeah, I'm just so glad it's ending because I'm tired of these 4.5 hour games. Like, it's crazy with these flags. Like, these halves are like a whole half is like 3 hours. It feels like, you know what I'm saying. That being said, I'm so happy. I'm so happy it ended. And not to get on it, but I do want to bring up his stats. I know we all probably looked it up, but for the premium takes fam that didn't, if you guys told me, for a 7th round pick, we'll get a player that had played 3 years in the National Football League with 258 tackles, 7.5 sacks, 7 forced fumbles, four interceptions, 16 pass deflections, and 1 touchdown for a 7th round pick with a defense that didn't really match his system. Imagine what he can do with a system that matches his system. So that being said, let's get it for Isaiah Simmons.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. But preseason has been uninspiring. Like I said, you just didn't get to really see much from a football standpoint. Like I said, a lot of teams keeping their cards close to the vest. That's what they do these days. That's how they do it, protecting their players, I suppose, their top guys.
Yeah, but that's why the football's so sloppy for 4.5 weeks.
Because it's not just they don't have their feet wet yet.
Right. You're just watching the preseason take over, and you have to hope to stay afloat in the first 4 weeks and be 500, where then your team can start to click.
That's what it comes down to.
That should be the US. That should be the USFL and the XFL's like standard. Like, we gotta at least beat the preseason. If we can beat the preseason, we have a point. We have a shot.
Well, that's something you should bring up. Like, all these guys that we're seeing cutting now have an opportunity to come back in the league at some point, maybe when they go to the USFL and the XFL.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't have these leagues. I mean, arena football is not as big as this, but they didn't have these leagues where these guys could go, right? And now have a place to go. Now, I don't know if the USFL is going to last or if the XFL is going to last, but it's just interesting to see that we're going to see a lot of these players that we're hearing now probably migrate to those leagues.
Absolutely.
Yep, absolutely. Ended up with Isaiah Simmons and Andrew Thomas, so we got them both, and those was that worked out. That works out for us, especially if Isaiah Simmons pans out, man. I just don't see
like Kayvon Thibodeau and Evan Neal. Oh my God.
Yeah, could you imagine that? Seriously, if that all just works out, that'll be just crazy, man. It's unbelievable.
Scary,
man.
and we're not even talking about sexy Dexy. It's beautiful. It's gonna be so beautiful.
Yeah, I think
Bobby's studying himself too.
The league needs to watch out, man. The New York Giants is coming together. It still might not be quite there this year, but they're coming together, man. Coming together and they're building something special. Like I said, he's got good young talent all over the field now. Good, respectable talent. The receiver room, mean, it's not necessarily you don't look and see a bunch of superstars in that receiver room, but it's still like credible guys that are capable of making plays and that you feel comfortable going out there and playing with. So, I mean, I'm just excited. I'm actually genuinely excited now because I really do believe in what this team can actually accomplish this year.
Big facts.
But you wanted to talk some UFC. Zion can definitely have the floor again, brother.
Absolutely. I just want to wrap it up with wrap it up of the UFC weekend we had this last weekend. It wasn't a major event, but it was Holloway fighting, so I had to cover it. Just gonna probably talk about Holloway's fight. He had a knockout against Korean Zombie in round 3. It's beautiful to watch. Korean Zombie just wanted to come in there and bang, and he came in there and banged, and Max Holloway, knocked him out. But I did want to touch on Korean Zombie real fast too, because to see a legend go out like that, the respect he got, this guy is no slum in MMA. And for y'all don't know, he did retire, and that's what I'm talking about. So Korean Zombie did retire last night, and this guy, when I mean no slump in any way, and in MMA, this guy is a fighter's fighter. I mean, like, this guy choked out Destin Poirier with a Deutsch choke coming up. You know what I'm saying? What I mean by that is, like, this guy's been fighting the best of the best. It's not no, you're gonna work through this amateur list of fighters. No, dude. 7 fights in, 9 fights in, this guy was fighting the who's who of the sport. Leonard Garcia, George Rope, Mark Hamburg, Destin Poirier, Jose Aldo, Dennis Bermudez, Yoel Rodriguez. The list goes on. Frankie Edgar, Brian Ortega, Dan Ige, Alexander Volkanovski, and then to end his career against Max Holloway. This guy past one generation onto the next generation of fighters. And I think, at 36 years old, it's a perfect time for him to retire. Long live the Zombie. I love this song. The song was perfect for the moment. Love how the UFC clipped together a highlight video for him. But, absolutely, Chin Sung Jung, the Korean Zombie, retires at 36. And, that's awesome. I was going to see rest in peace, but he didn't die. He just retired. That being said, Max Holloway, man, I want to see what's next for him. We got Ilya Taporia versus Alex Volkanovski for the championship. I don't think Ilya is ready for it, although I believe Ilya does have a chance. I'll probably do that breakdown a little bit later. I want to see what Max does. If there's a lot of moves for Max. Does he keep on fighting at featherweight, or does he go and move up to light heavyweight? There's a lot of opportunities for him at light heavyweight. Maybe he calls out the winner of Oliveira versus Islam. He's capable, can do that right now. He's the last person outside of Islam to defeat Oliveira. So Oliveira in the last 15 fights has lost against Islam and Max, but he didn't really lose against Max because he kind of pulled his shoulder in that fight. So that would be I would love to see a storyline where Oliveira wins the title from Islam and then fights Max. But obviously, if Islam loses the title, he's probably going to have back-to-back with Oliveira. That's going to be a trilogy. But Islam's probably win against Oliveira because he's just a beast. And that's a prime opportunity for Max to call out Islam, even though that's a scary fight for Max because Islam is just a monster on the ground. And Max is a boxer, basically, a striker. It's going to be interesting how this all plays out. But that being said, I just wanted to highlight that real fast. So, what a beautiful career for the Korean Zombie. And, man, 36 years old, hanging the gloves up. I don't know if Mac wants to say a few things about the Korean Zombie on his retirement. But, yeah, Max Holloway with that dub. Let's get it. Back to you, Mac.
I mean, you said it all. Korean Zombie was definitely the man. Great career. Look forward to seeing what he's going to do with his future, man. But since we missed last week's show, just wanted to give a shout out to my guy, Sugar Sean O'Malley.
Yes.
Just taking down Aljamain Sterling the way he did. And if you would have saw this, the back and forth between these guys, I mean, Aljamain all but called Sugar Sean a fraud. Basically saying he didn't even deserve to share the octagon with him. Basically saying you don't belong here. Saying that you don't work hard. You just been given everything he's gotten. And Sugar Sean went out there and busted that ass with a round 2 finish. So just wanted to shout out Sugar Sean O'Malley, man. Great win last week in the main event at UFC 292, man. As for me, real quick, also just want to shout out AEW Wrestling today. They had an event in Wembley Stadium in London. All in. AEW All In, man. And All they did was go out there and broke the record, the attendance record for a professional wrestling event ever. 81,000 plus filled up Wembley Stadium for the AEW All-In pay-per-view earlier today, man. It was a great event. It was a great wrestling show, man. I recommend if you wrestling fans, if you didn't catch it, definitely make sure y'all go back, check out the replay. It was definitely awesome, top to bottom. You know, Saraya, formerly known as Paige in the WWE, won their women's title at her home in her home country in London, England. So definitely was a good event, man. And props to AEW coming a long way, competing with that juggernaut known as the WWE, and they're definitely holding their own. And now they've done something that WWE has never done, and they put 81,000 plus in a venue to watch their superstars put on a show, and the show they put on. Trust me, believe that indeed. But you guys got any more thoughts, man, before we wrap this one up a little early this week, I guess?
I'm gonna pass it to Adam after this. I just wanted to say thank you guys all for joining us. Football season is 2 weeks, a week and a half away. Super excited for that. We are gonna be changing the date, so stay posted to everybody's community feeds, everybody's Twitter. We'll let you guys know on exactly what time we're doing it. So just stay posted. Subscribe to everybody's channel. If you guys didn't, Mac the Giants fan, Adam Costas, Zion Zenith. And stay up to date on our Twitter. Let's get it. Back to you, Adam.
I just want to say this has been great, the preseason, to kind of navigate this ship and watch these teams build. And now it's time to put it all to the test and see who's really the contenders and who are the pretenders, right? It's good on paper to get a roster. I know that's great, but will that roster perform? Will injuries happen? Will guys stay healthy? Well, they won't stay healthy. The football is a violent game, people. One injury could derail a whole season, could end a whole year. It could do that in one swoop. So take it all in. Enjoy it. Enjoy the pageantry that is the NFL season. And when we come back, we'll be previewing those NFL games for you guys. It will be fantastic as we show you when we come in Friday, I think it might be our first show, we'll be able to analyze the first game for you guys. Get you set for that Kansas City-Detroit game. Will we find out if the Detroit Lions are for real, or will the Kansas City Chiefs choke from being back-to-back champion? Who knows? But all I know is I'm going to be ready and waiting and watching.
Absolutely, and thank you all, man. And as you heard Adam and Zion say, this is our final show on Sunday for right now, for this, at least during the duration of the football season. This will be our final Sunday show. We will be moving on to Friday night starting this Friday, September 1st. You join me, myself, Zion Zenith, Adam Costas. We'll be getting y'all ready for week 1 of the NFL season. We're going to do some other cool stuff, make some predictions, all the fun stuff we like to do as football fans. And we're going to just have a ball, man. The time, we'll let y'all know throughout the course of the week. You get the time exactly figured out, but it will definitely be Friday night. Starting this Friday, September the 1st. And also, don't forget to join myself, Adam Costas, on Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another edition of the Real Deal NFC East Roundup. Me and Adam Costas breaking down that NFC East, getting y'all ready for week 1 and things. We're going to be doing all kind of fun stuff on there, over-unders and all kinds of other cool things. A little trivia might be popping off. So make sure y'all join us Wednesday for that. Got a nice little fun show planned up for y'all, man. So tune in. No Mets, no Nets, no Jets, man. We appreciate you holding down the chat as usual, man. As always, my brother, always in there. Appreciate the support, man. And make sure, like Zion said, y'all go sub up to each and every one of us. Myself, Mac the Giants fan, Zion Zenith, Adam Costas, man. Also sub up to the Hardcore Sports Network. Keep supporting that crew too, man. Shout out to the Big Blue crew. This has been another edition of the Premium Takes Podcast. I'm Mac the Giants fan. That's Adam Costas. That's Zion Zenith. Y'all know Jeff is looking over us right now too, man. It's the Premium Takes Podcast. Throw them 4s up for our guy Jeff, man. Hey!